right, here we are. We're back with Brandon McMillan. Your dog trainer, social media sensation, Emmy Award winner, TV show, all the things. How are you doing, man?
I think you covered it all.
Producer, I didn't. Author, you got 2 books, got a new one out, Story of Your Dog. You're
Keep going. Keep going.
Wikipedia page is long.
I don't even believe half the stuff they write on Wikipedia. I don't even know where they get that information half the time. It says I'm 5'11" on half the websites.
How tall are you?
6'3".
Yeah, set the record straight. He's 6'3", not 5'11". Come on, Wikipedia.
I don't know where they got 5'11" at.
I can tell you're not 5'11". Where you at right now? You in LA?
No, I'm in New York.
Oh, New York. Is that where you're at most of the time?
No, I live in California, but I'm out here training a service dog that I've been working on for the past about 6-7 months. Trained a service dog for a young woman with FOP. The acronym, it's too long for me to even repeat, but basically what's happening is her body, it's calcifying. Her body's turning to bone. What happens is, if you Google it, it's really sad. So what happens with this particular condition is your skeleton grows a skeleton over it. So basically you grow your muscles and everything else, tendons turn into a second skeleton. So she's about 95% locked in place. Her one arm is here, one arm's kind of locked down, legs are stiff. She can't move her head in any direction. So the dog I trained, so I trained her a dog. He pretty much does whatever you want. I mean, he'll bring her any item around the house for her. He opens doors for her. So it's changing her life.
What kind of dog?
He's it looks like a golden doodle. It's actually called a Legato Romalango, which is it's an Italian truffle hunter. It looks just like a golden.
Yeah, I've seen those. They're Blackberry Farms, this place here in Tennessee. They have those dogs and they kind of breed them. So I knew that they were truffle hunting dogs. Why?
They're good work.
Oh, is that why you picked them for this
No,
project?
I picked it. I actually picked it because I only train rescue dogs. I don't do any breeders. And so what happened was this particular family, they requested a hypoallergenic, mainly not because of shedding, because the father's highly allergic. And so it's really tough to find a large hypoallergenic dog. Typically, you got to find them small. Yeah. So it took me over a year to find this particular dog, and the family gave him up because they just had a baby and they just didn't have time for him. So he kind of fell in my lap, and so I got lucky, and he's a hell of a worker.
So how long? I mean, you've been working with this dog for 6-7 months.
Yeah, when you're talking about high level task training, as we call it. Basically, what happens is we have to train the dog to do far beyond the obedience, stay and come. This dog had to learn to push the handicap access buttons on the wall that opens the doors. This dog had to learn to retrieve specific items for her around the house, her cell phone, she has a special chair that actually lifts her vertical so she can get out of it. There's a strap in her bed that she actually uses when she can't when she's lying in bed, she can't turn over. If she wants to switch positions, she can't do it. So there's a strap. She pulls it and it actually pulls her body in a position that she likes. But if the strap is not in her hand, if it falls 6 inches away, she can't grab it.
Yeah.
So she tells the dog, "Go give me the strap," and the dog brings the strap to her hand.
It's incredible.
Stuff like that, you can't train it in a week.
Yeah.
It takes months.
Is there? People. I mean, if you think about people, like there's certain people that can do things, there's certain people that can't do things. Like, I could never be a nuclear engineer or something like that. Like, do you get to a point with a dog where you're like, I could train this thing for 3 years, it's just not going to get it? Or are they just
100%? Yeah, at French Bulldogs, yeah.
Can't do it. Not happening. I read that you're from Trenton, New Jersey, and your father and uncle were both in the exotic animal trainers. Is that how you how old were you when you got into this?
As far back as I can remember.
Really?
I guess the day I was born. Yeah. So my father was a tiger trainer in the circus. I was born and raised doing that, and basically by the time I was like 13, 14 years old, I had more experience than trainers that were like in the 30s. So I moved to California, to Los Angeles, to train for the Hollywood movies when I was 18. At that time, I was already, one of the more experienced trainers in the industry because of my background. I did that for 15 years, and eventually, during the middle of the Afghan war, that's when I switched to service dogs. What happened was around about 2010, 11, 12. That was the height of the IED bombings, as we all know. And our service members were coming back in record numbers with their limbs missing. So basically, you step on an IED. Typically, it's going to take your legs off, but the top half of your body remains. And so that's what got me into the service dogs, because I was training dogs for entertainment. I was training dogs for like Super Bowl commercials, to open the fridge, get you the Bud Light, run it back to the couch. And so I stopped doing it for entertainment, and I started doing it for practical reasons. I started with the veterans, and then I eventually branched out to other people that needed it. So I use my skill set finally for good, not for entertainment.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, I'm gonna actually. When you were a kid, was there anything else you thought you might want to do, or were you just so involved with animals and in that world, like that's was just it?
When I was a kid, I wanted to be a firefighter.
Really?
I really did, yeah. I was always into like, I had this like wild dream of like saving people from burning buildings, So I never became a firefighter, but I became a service dog trainer, ironically. So it's just another form of, I've always liked the idea of, helping people that are either helpless or they don't know how to swim in the ocean they're in. Yeah. So I've always liked the idea of helping people that are truly there. They have no options.
Well, for the military, yeah. Were you guys were you doing service dogs when they got home, or dogs for the military?
When they got home.
When they got home.
Yeah. So basically the same thing I'm doing with this this lady right now. So the dogs I train, they actually physically work for you. They'll open doors. They'll retrieve items around the house for you, because we take our needs for granted.
For sure.
Once you don't have them anymore, you realize, wow, life is much more difficult.
What's the best type of dog you found that is easy to work with and does exactly what you wanted them to do?
There's really no specific breed. It's more personality, but there are breeds that you definitely can say the usual suspects that are the better workers. So German Shepherds, Golden Retrievers, Labradors, they're kind of the top of the heap when it comes to the actual working animal. And that's not a fluke, by the way. If you look at the history of dog breeds out there, this is my new book. I mean, I talk about this. This is what the entire book's about. The entire book is about the history of dogs and how 15,000 years ago they were all bred. They were all domesticated from a wolf. And the wolf basically became our domestic dogs. Now, for 15,000 years, we bred these dogs solely for work. And it wasn't until about the last 150 years that we actually eradicated all these jobs, and all these working dogs became pets overnight, just like that. So the dog's genetics, the DNA, all says I need to work. They understand work. And so all I'm doing is I'm taking the dog back to its original, genetics and saying, let's give you a job. And believe it or not, when you give a dog a job, you have much less behavior problems. It's when the dog is sitting around the house all day doing nothing and you're gone to work all day, that's where the behavior problems begin, because you're taking the dog's natural genetics away from them. You're basically taking the dog's natural instinct to work away from them, and you're saying, sit, stay, and do nothing. That's not what a dog was ever bred to do.
No, I mean, that makes total sense. I want to ask you a question about diet for these dogs, because I had German Shepherds for a while, grew up with German Shepherds. And if they're all kind of, DNA points to wolf, what's your thought on a raw diet for a dog?
Well, believe it or not, they've done studies on this now. So a domestic dog's stomach has evolved away from the wolf.
Okay.
A domestic dog's stomach, it has nothing to do with the actual wolf anymore. There's a lot of debate about this, actually. So, but I know a guy, his name is Dr. George C. Fahey. He's actually in the industry. He's a genius mind. He's the one who actually wrote the white papers on this, and he's the one who discovered that the modern day domestic dog's stomach has evolved away from the wolf. So the carnivore diet.
Yeah.
And by the way, wolves are not pure carnivores. No. Wolves are omnivores. The carnivores, that's their preferred diet.
Sure.
But wolves they can actually eat berries and other stuff. So wolves are technically omnivores by necessity. But our domestic dogs their stomachs have evolved away from the wolf. So yeah, a lot of these a lot of these raw diets, a
Yeah.
lot of it's just smoke and mirrors. A lot of it's just marketing.
Yep, there we go. Didn't know that. Didn't know that it evolved. But I mean, but that makes sense. I mean, 150 years of eating dog food or whatever they've been eating. I mean, it's gonna change some.
Well, that's what evolution is, yeah.
Exactly.
And we're the ones who genetically modified these dogs, so we're the ones who actually
We're
we
to blame.
changed the guts over them. We're to blame for everything.
That's very true. Very true.
That's why I always say whenever people are always just like, oh, there's certain breeds out there that are just they're just genetically aggressive, get rid of them. I'm like, we're the ones who bred them.
Yeah.
We bred them to fight. We bred them to fight for hundreds of years, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we're like, all right, we don't want you to fight anymore. Just now, you got to be good dogs. Well, it's in their genetics.
I mean, have you ever been with like an aggressive dog where you're like, hey, like this one's lost cause. Like, there's nothing I can do here.
Oh, plenty. Plenty.
It gets to that point.
Look, it's pretty consistent. It's pretty consistent. Whether it's a dog, a cat, or a human. If you have 1,000 people, you're going to have one person in there that's highly aggressive.
Sure.
That's not meant for modern day society. Every once in a while, I meet a dog. The aggression level is high level. It comes from the prey drive of the wolf. Taking it back to the wolf, there are certain genetic traits that some dogs out there. It's very rare, but some dogs they cannot shake those genetic traits. The way the wolves survive in the wild is through prey drive, and prey drive, of course, is a wolf's way to capture and seize prey so they can eat. Some wolves have serious prey drive, and those are the ones that go for the big kill in a wolf pack. It's got 10 wolves, and you've always got that one or two. Those are the daredevil, the risk taker, the toughest ones. They're the ones that go for the kill shot. Once they're grabbing on to the prey, then the rest of the wolves come and take it down. But there's always that one that he's the muscle of the group. He's the alpha, as we call him, as we know him. It's pretty consistent in the human world too. It's pretty consistent in all the animals have this. So yeah, in the domestic dog world, you're gonna have a dog every once in a while that they don't understand the rules of modern day civilization that we created. We're like, well, you can't do that. In its mind, it's like, well, I came from a wolf. I have prey drive. Everything it wants to go for. So yeah, you're gonna have that every once in a while.
Genetics are crazy. So 2010 you did the boarding and with service dogs, your training facility, and then you got hooked up with CBS in the Lucky Dog Show.
Yeah, that was the game changer. That's what really put me on the map. It showcased my work. Because what happened was, like I said, it was the height of the bombings in 2012ish. What happened was, I was at that time, almost every service dog organization, they were breeding their own dogs, and that's how so that's how they train service dogs for service members. I came from a different angle. I said, I'm going to get my dogs from shelters.
Yeah.
I'm going to get my dogs from shelters, and I'm going to get the dogs that nobody wants and prove that these shelter dogs are just as trainable, if not more trainable, than breeder bought. And so I did, and suddenly CBS heard about what I was doing, and they were like, get in here. We want to talk to you right now. Next thing you know, they watched me work, and they put a contract, sign here.
I mean, that's a bold move to take, dogs that no one wants and turn them into, highly desirable working dogs that are helping people, out there in the world.
Well, it's not really a bold move. It's just your chances of success are far lower than breeding dogs. See, when you breed a dog, it's not the dog's more trainable. It's everything about it.
Yeah.
So you breed this dog and you have the dog from birth, and you know everything about it along the timeline of from the time it's day one till about 6 to 8 months when you begin the training. When I start a service dog, I don't start them until about a year. I just met them in the shelter. I know nothing about them. I don't know if they're smart. I don't know if they're stubborn. So my success rate is far lower than the breeding programs. This is why no service dog organizations want to breed. Or I'm sorry, want to go to this is why no service dog organizations want to go to shelters.
Yeah.
So yeah, my success rate is far lower, but my adoption rate is far higher than theirs.
I'm sure. I bet it is. What is your success rate of taking a dog in one of your facilities and making them a service dog?
Probably about 50%, 50, 60%.
Damn, that's still pretty high.
It's pretty high, yeah, it's definitely. But you know, if you breed your dogs, they get them up to upwards of over 70%.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I have a drop in success, but I have a 100% success rate in adoption.
Yeah. I mean, those are ready to go.
And by the way, just because I can't turn them into a service dog doesn't mean they don't go on to a great life as a pet somewhere.
Oh, exactly. I mean, that's the benefit of it. You take them as far as you can as a service dog. They don't make it. They're going to be an incredible pet for somebody.
The reality is every year in America, these numbers have been pretty consistent now for the past, 20, 30 years. Every year in America, there's about 1 million dogs that are euthanized because they can't find homes.
Really?
Yeah. You don't hear about that on the nightly news. Why?
1 million dogs.
1 million dogs. Believe it or not, that number has gone down in like the last 10 years. It used to be about 1 to 2 million. Now it's about 1 million, give or take. So yeah, that's why I adopt.
That's insane. I did not know that number was that high.
Very few people do.
Well, no.
That's why I'm here.
So you know I'm an outsider, so much that I started a company called Outsider. If you spend as much time outdoors as I do, you know that you need the right kind of energy and nutritional supplements to keep you going. Which is why I love our friends at Mountain Ops. They brought us this bonus episode with hunter and adventurer Cam Haynes, and you absolutely need to check out everything they offer. Find them online at mtnops.com and check out how they are inspiring individuals and families achieve their ultimate level of performance through the highest quality energy and nutritional products. You might have heard one of their most popular products, Ignite. It delivers smooth, long-lasting, great-tasting energy and focus for hours. Or maybe you just need a good night's sleep, and Mountain Ops has you covered there as well. Mountain Ops Slumber helps your body rest deeply and recover quickly. Hibernate, their deep sleep formula, uses local trace minerals from the Great Salt Lake coupled with natural extracts to cultivate a deep, calming slumber. So if you're an outsider, check out our friends at Mountain Ops. Find their entire line of outdoor performance supplements online at mtnops.com. Use the code UNCUT at checkout to receive 30% off their products. That's code UNCUT at mtnops.com.
I just read that July 5th is one of the busiest days for animal shelters because of fireworks and everything and dogs running away. Didn't know that either.
That's an interesting point. So what happens is, so there's technically two busiest days of the year at the shelter. July 5th is one, and January 1st is another. What do they have in common? Fireworks. So what happens is people, they go out and they, they're going out watching the fireworks, and next thing you know, dogs are scared of fireworks. And the main reason why is because any wild animal is scared of a boom. It comes from thunder.
Yeah.
You go in the wild, you see like lions in Africa, thunder, boom. Everyone goes into hiding. And so dogs hear fireworks, they get out of they escape, they run. It's like a fight or flight thing.
Yeah.
And the sad part is a lot of these dogs that escape, they're never found. So the ones that don't end up in the shelter, what happens? They're just never found. And so, so I've been using these. We've got technology. We're in different times now. Back in the old days, if your dog got out, if it didn't have a tag or a collar, and nobody found it, your dog probably was lost forever.
Yeah.
I've been using these new GPS collars now. We have basically, we almost got a smartphone we can put on our dog's collar now.
Is this the Link Smart Pet wearables?
Yeah, I use the Link Smart Pet wearable. There's others out there, but the Links are amazing because number one, the range of them, and number two, it's got training features. But the what it kind of is, it's almost like a smartphone on your dog's collar. And basically, if your dog gets out, now you have an app on your phone to say, uh-oh, my dog is gone, and you can track him live on your phone, and you can press take me to my dog right now. It's almost like a Google Maps right to your dog. So I try to give people options, when it comes to 5th of July and when it comes to the 1st of the year, because everyone, my inbox starts blowing up this time of the year. They're like, what do I do? How do I keep my dog safe? I'm like, well, look, there's a million things you can do. Number one, try to avoid fireworks, keep them safe in the house, but you need to have an insurance policy. And this is why I use these Link collars. That's your liability. It doesn't prevent your dog from getting out, but it enables you to find your dog when they're out.
Which is
the only thing that prevents your dog from getting out is a 20-foot tall fence and maybe somebody guarding. Because I've seen dogs scale 10-foot fences when they're scared of fireworks. It's insane.
We used to have the underground one with the collar and stuff. It would buzz them a little bit. Straight through it. Didn't care.
Straight through. If they're scared, they're going to go. And that's the thing. See, the one you're talking about is the invisible fence.
Yes.
And again, so it's a prevention, but what happens when the dog gets past that? You don't know where the dog is.
They're gone.
That's the big gray area.
Yeah.
So we're technically putting like a little GPS tracker on your dog's collar now, and now we can track them in real time and find them. That's the big gray area we've been missing all these years, and we finally have the technology small enough where we can fit it on a dog's collar.
That's great. So I mean that's just GPS from satellites. Is that how that works? Just a monthly fee?
Yeah, it's the same technology
Yeah.
as your phone. It's literally the same GPS technology as your phone, but now it fits in a little link device in your collar. It's pretty cool. I swear by them now.
Oh, I mean,
And they look cool too.
Yeah, I wish I had those a long time ago.
Well, the technology wasn't there.
Yeah, exactly. What are the most?
It would have been the size of a lunchbox.
Yes. Where? Yeah, I mean, they've got the little tags now. You can just clip them on your kid's backpack and track them. I mean, my kids.
Exactly.
My kids are screwed when they're older. You know, whenever we were growing up, there's no cell phones or nothing. Hey, I'll be home at midnight. Now, like I'm gonna slip one in my kids' cars, and when they turn 16, to be able to track them wherever.
You know how old we sound saying this? When we grew up, like when we were kids, the internet wasn't even around. I'm like, I sound like my grandfather now because cable wasn't around, TV wasn't around when he was a kid. And
No.
we sound like that.
Oh yeah. I mean, I remember at school, you just 25 cents, and you go to the payphone, and that's how you called home to ask for something.
I know. Payphones. God, I was just in London actually a few months back. You want to hear something sad? You know, the iconic payphones in London, the red payphones.
Yeah, are they getting rid of those?
They're impossible. They're gone now.
That's a shame.
There was like one around town. I was like, are you kidding me? Where are they? They're like, we don't use payphones anymore.
Don't
I'm
use
like,
them.
you should keep those things. They're like freaking, museums on the corners. Everybody wants to see them.
I know. It's a shame.
You don't use it anymore. We don't use the castles in Germany anymore. You gonna knock them down?
Yeah, they're still there. Has the? I mean, I know the technology's changed, but has much changed in regard to like training dogs and the philosophy and like kind of how you do it much over the since you've been doing it for forever?
Oh yeah. I mean, here's the funny part. So there's been big changes. I'd say every 20, 30 years, there's big changes in techniques and how we do things. The problem I'm seeing nowadays is the biggest thing. I'm seeing a lot of trainers now. They're going to school for training, and these animal training schools, I would not recommend them to anybody because number one, they give you no field experience. They're giving you book experience. You're reading a book, and in your mind, you're saying, "Oh, okay, I know how to train a dog now." Let me put that in perspective for you.
Yeah.
You read a book, jujitsu.
Yeah.
You're gonna step onto a mat and go match with somebody. I'm sorry, it's not gonna work.
You're gonna get destroyed.
You're gonna get destroyed.
Yeah.
And so it's the same theory. So what we're seeing nowadays is these animal training schools online. You can take them for like 6 weeks. You read a book, and it's all theory training. And what happens is they start attacking people like me, saying your methods are outdated. And every year, our methods are outdated because they have to come up with something new every year to justify that people are paying whatever prices.
To sell it.
Sometimes animal training, it's good where it is, and you leave it how it is. You make minor adjustments.
Yeah.
Some things don't need to change, but I love being attacked. First of all, I love a good internet war, but because they're so easy to beat too. Because I'm like, well, if you really want to settle this, let's just go to the shelter right now. We'll pull out the worst dogs they have, and we'll see who can train them faster.
See what happens.
I got field experience. You got book experience, dude. Let's do this.
Yeah, you never want to mess with somebody that has world experience or real life experience. They'll figure it out pretty quickly.
That's what's happening.
What do you find? What are some most asked questions that people ask you about training their dogs? Like what behavior they want to fix the most? Is it barking or pulling on the leash?
Aggression.
Yeah.
Aggression.
Are there that many aggressive dogs out there? Is that the biggest thing with people?
It's not that there's, when you put it in a percentage scale, there's not that many. It's still a smaller percentage, but the mass scale, it's a large number. The only problem with aggression, I compare. See, aggression is really tough you can't change it. You can only really manage it. You can't make a dog non-aggressive.
Yeah.
Aggression, 90% of the time, it comes from genetics. These dogs at one point were wolves. And you got to, a lot of dogs back in, historically speaking, were bred to fight.
Yeah.
So historically speaking, even if it's not, even if you have a breed that was not bred to fight, there's genes in this gene pool. It's being mixed all the time, and it could have got a gene that's aggressive. Now, it's tough to make a dog not aggressive. You almost have to manage it, and you have to make executive decisions. Obedience, I can guarantee you, I'm going to have your dog sitting, staying, and lying down at the end of the session. Aggression, I can't guarantee you anything. Your dog's still going to be aggressive. We're just going to see what we can do about it. So aggression is one of those areas that a lot of people, they'll come to me and say, look, I've gone through 5 trainers. I can't get anywhere with this dog. I'm like, well, this is the big gray area. Same with separation anxiety.
Really? So a dog, you leave the house, separation anxiety, he tears apart the house. That's just kind of how they're bred, or that's just in their genes of who they are as a dog.
Well, separation anxiety is more of a it's nothing to do with what they were bred for. It's more to do with separation anxiety. Really is a personality trait. Any dog, any breed can have it, but separation anxiety is almost more like this anxiety of the buildup is worse than the actual event. In other words, in their mind, they think you leaving the house is the worst thing ever. The buildup is like, oh my God, and they start like tearing the house apart because they think that the world's ending. When in reality, you just left the house and you're gonna be back in a couple hours. Dealing with this right now. There's a woman up the street here I'm staying, and she's got this little poodle mix that has high level separation anxiety. And ironically, she was so scared because I said, what's the methods you're taking? And she goes, well, I'm dealing with this trainer, and they're telling me these exercises to do. And I'm like, how long have you been dealing with the trainer? She goes, a year. And I said, after a year, you've got no results? She goes, no. I was like, okay, that's your fault.
Yeah.
If you're not getting results after like half a dozen times, switch trainers. So I've been using these actually going back to those collars, those little UPS tags we're talking about, the link devices. It actually has a training feature on it. I've been using this specific feature on this dog to help with the separation anxiety. One of the training features it has is vibrate. And so we stand outside the door, we go down the hallway like 30 feet, and we're quiet. And what happens is the dog starts freaking out, and I hit the vibrate. And it vibrates on the neck just very slightly, and that's it. The dog stops. It's like, what was that? And 20 seconds later, the dog freaks out again. And then I vibrate again. We do this about 3 or 4 times, and suddenly, by time 5, the dog, now it's not freaking out anymore. It's calm for about 15 minutes. And then our intervals start getting longer, and then it was 20 minutes and 30 minutes. So I did like 3 or 4 sessions with her so far, and she's noticing now she can go down the hallway, and the dog is quiet for 40 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour now, as opposed to the 10 minutes she was getting before.
Yeah.
And it all came from this simple vibration feature. And so a lot of trainers, they're anti-technology. In other words, they want to go off pure technique. Technique is great, but guess what? We're in different times now. We actually have technology to help combat some of these problems. Use it.
That's awesome.
Vibration, it's a very easy way to stop dogs from simple, like very moderate to mildly severe level of separation anxiety. I've even stopped dogs from being aggressive with the vibrate feature. Because what it does is I see their lips curling, and I vibrate, and it stops them. It takes them back a second.
Yeah.
And they realize there's a little pushback every time they snarl or start snapping at a dog. I simply vibrate, it backs them off. So we're in different times now. This is the cool thing with technology. We've actually gotten to the point now where our phones are doing a lot of the things that humans cannot.
Yeah, I mean people are on them all the time, and it seems like that vibration thing seems, because I remember when I used to have dogs, they had the shot collars, and you have you're doing all this stuff. That it seems to be a little bit more humane just to hit them with a little bit of a vibration than zapping the hell out of them.
Well, so believe it or not, so most of those shot collars, they have the vibration feature on it. It's just a lot of people don't use the vibration feature. They go right to the shock. So
I gotcha.
Vibration, believe it or not. Yeah, if you got an excessive barker, I do this all the time. I have people with excessive barkers are like, oh, wait, can we get a bark collar? I said, yeah, get a bark collar, but put it on vibrate first. And I'll guarantee you, most likely, it'll stop them from barking. So they put the vibrate feature on. It's like, boom. So vibrate does just as much. I mean, shock, unfortunately, yeah. Does it work? Yeah. Is it worth nothing? No. Yeah. let's get there first.
Yeah, let's graduate there first. Let's see if the
Yeah.
lesser one does it. How'd you get hooked up with Masterclass? That's pretty amazing.
They called me up and they said we like your methods, we like your techniques, and get in here. We want to do a full master class on your whole curriculum, because I have a very simple my method. I have what's called what's known as a system in training. A lot of trainers they don't have their own system. They just kind of like have a hodgepodge of I'm just going to teach whatever comes to mind. I actually have a system that I say every dog's going to learn this system. It's called the 7 Common Commands, and I have 7 commands that I teach. At sit, stay, down, come, off, heel, no. But I also have a prerequisite system before we teach that. And so basically, it's a step-by-step system. Basically, again, I'll compare it to martial arts. You need to go through a belt system to get to the black belt.
Got it.
So I've used this system to actually get a dog better. I start with very simple control techniques, and then I graduate to the techniques for obedience, and then we get to the higher level stuff. So, in other words, you got to learn to crawl before you walk, and then walk before you run. So it's very popular and it resonates with people. And so Masterclass is like your system is so easy that people got to see it. So. And it's one of the better selling curriculum courses on the entire masterclass. Mainly because everyone has a dog.
Yeah, I mean everyone has a dog, and if it's the way you talk about it, you've got a system there. People can walk through it. It sounds simple enough. That's awesome.
Uncut with Jay Cutler is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Most of you listening right now are probably multitasking. Yep, while you're listening to me talk, you're probably also driving, cleaning, exercising, or maybe even grocery shopping. But if you're not in some kind of moving vehicle, there's something else you can be doing right now. Getting an auto quote from Progressive Insurance. It's easy and you can save money by doing it right from your phone. Drivers who save by switching to Progressive save over $700 on average. And auto customers qualify for an average of 7 discounts. Discounts for having multiple vehicles on your policy, being a homeowner, and more. So just like your favorite podcast, Progressive will be with you 24/7, 365 days a year, so you're protected no matter what. Multitask right now. Quote your car insurance at Progressive.com to join the over 27 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Companies and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2020 and May 2021. Potential savings will vary. Discounts not available in all states and situations.
I was checking out your Instagram. What were you doing? Were you in Africa?
Yeah, I go every year. So this year I was actually in South Africa. We were filming Shark Week. So I also host Shark Week. They need some, knucklehead like me to jump in with the great whites. They're like, Brandon, you're stupid enough. You can do it, right? And so this will be my 9th year doing it. So basically, the whole theory of the show is that we do what's known as the attack shows. Every time there's like someone attacked around the world, we investigate the attack, talk to the eyewitnesses, and so this one happened to be in Cape Town. So after me and my fiance, we went on safari up in Kruger National, and if anyone, for those of you who are getting older and you've never been on safari, just sell your car and do it. I'm telling you, it is the most incredible vacation you'll ever have. It's like Jurassic Park.
I will second that. I went a long time ago, 10 years ago, and it's I'm out in Colorado and Montana and stuff, and it seems very vast. But once you go to Africa, it's a whole different ball game over there.
Well, I mean, I remember the first, I took my fiance last year too. She'd never been. And the first time she saw a lion and she saw an elephant, and the first thing she said to me, she goes, "Holy bleep, these things are effing real."
Oh, yeah.
To her, it was all just like, oh, it's just, you see this on TV and Discovery Channel and Instagram. When she saw it, eyes, she couldn't take them off the animals. She realized that this is not just Discovery Channel. The first time I've taken people diving with great whites, I've done this, with probably about 50 people over the years. I hear them screaming underwater, saying, "Oh my God, they're real!" You know what I'm saying? You hear them through the regulator, like, "Woo, woo!" They cannot believe what they're actually seeing.
Is there? I mean, you've done exotic animals. You're doing great white sharks, which is absolutely crazy to me. Is there any animal you're like, hey, I'm just not working with that. I'm just not touching that thing. Snakes?
Yeah, humans.
Humans, smart. It's very. That's actually the best answer.
You guys,
Smart.
you guys hunt on a full stomach. There's no logic in that to me.
Do you hunt?
I spearfish.
Okay.
So I live in California. So the ocean is my hunting ground. So yeah, especially so summertime, I spearfish, and the reason I like spearfishing is because it's the true form of hunting. So I have to put the wetsuits on. I have to get down in the kelp, and I have to sit there sometimes for 8-10 hours in 56-degree water and wait. It's not about like I don't use traps. I don't use fishing lines. I have to sit there with my spear gun and miss 50 shots before I get the one.
You'll stay there for 8 hours.
If I have to, yeah.
Jeez.
The fish aren't gonna. It's called fishing, not catching.
Oh, I hear you.
They're not gonna come. They're not gonna just come up to you and be like, "Hey, who are you?"
Oh, I know how it goes. They know that you're there.
They're prey animal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, are you a hunter?
Yeah. I mean, I don't never spearfish, but deer, elk, things of that nature, turkey.
It's the same theory.
Oh, I
they're
know.
not going to come to the.
Oh, I get it. I just don't want to sit underwater for 8 hours in 56-degree weather. It's 56-degree water. I mean.
Oh well, the wetsuits. I mean, trust me,
yeah.
it feels like 72 degrees.
That's fine.
Oh yeah. And I'll have a kayak sitting up top, and I'll have like my lunch. I'll jump to the top. I'll eat lunch.
Eat lunch.
Go back
down.
there. Yeah.
How long does a tank of oxygen last?
No, when you're spearfishing, you don't want to scuba because the bubbles scare them away.
So you're just coming up and down?
No, it's a snorkel.
Okay.
So you're sitting in the kelp. So basically, in California, we have these massive kelp forests.
Okay.
It's like 100 feet of water, and you're wrapping yourself in the kelp,
Uh-huh.
and you're literally you got your mask, and you got your snorkel sticking out of the surface, and you got your spear gun.
Yep.
And basically, you're sitting there. I mean, if you're lucky, you might get one. You might bag one in an hour. But sometimes you'll sit there for 3, 4, 5 hours.
Just chilling.
So, just chilling. Yeah. Next thing you know, you see a sea bass coming by, and those things are so elusive. If you do this, you go boom like that. That thing is boom. It's a mile away. Yeah. You know the game. You know the rules.
Sounds fun. Sounds like a lot of fun, actually.
It's like the ocean too. That's my
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ocean kind of scares me. There's some things out there I don't think that I think it's so vast and so big. There's some things in there that we don't even know about yet.
You sound like Joe Rogan.
Do I?
He said, he goes, I mean, I forget exactly what he said, but he said something along the lines of, I want no part of a place where sea monsters can consume you for lunch.
I totally agree with him.
We see great whites out there sometimes. You'll get bumped here and there, but
I mean, getting bumped
hey.
getting bumped by a great white sounds miserable.
I got bumped in New Zealand. This is like 10 years ago. We were filming something for Discovery Channel, and my buddy, he handed me his camera. He was fixing something, and we were in a cage, and I stuck myself out of the cage like a few feet. I held my feet were hanging on the inside of the cage, but I was dangling out of the cage because I was filming a great white right under like this, like probably 10 feet away, and behind me, I got a big boom, and I looked, and there was this massive 16-footer, and it just bumped the back of my head. This thing wanted to, it could have taken my head off, but it didn't.
Sure.
They don't have hands, so the way they check things out, they bump it, and sometimes they take a nibble. But unfortunately, a nibble could be your right leg.
Yeah, give me your arm.
Yeah.
Goodness. So what else you got? What else you got coming up in the future? Anything fun?
Just get back home and I've got. I'm getting married in a few months, and I'm going back to Africa. So.
Congratulations. How's the planning going?
Well, great. Now we finally secured a location, but
There you go.
I let her deal with all that. The more I'm involved, the more I'll screw it up.
Exactly. Smart man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, book's out. Master class is out. You can check that out online. Brandon McMillan's on Instagram. He's doing fun things. I appreciate your time, man.
You too, brother.
Good luck with
We'll go
everything.
spearfishing one day, and I'll make sure you don't get eaten by a white.
I don't know if you could get me in the water to do that, but maybe we'll see.
See, that'll be the challenge. How about that?
All right, that's fair enough.
That should be like an Instagram challenge. Can I get you in the water?
Oh gosh, you can get Rogan out there first. If they don't eat him, maybe I'll go. All right, man. I appreciate it. I know you're busy as hell, so thank you for taking the time.
All right, brother. Good
All right, sounds
talking.
good. Thanks, man.
See ya.